This is Module 1 of the Note-Taker Training, Background Information. CDAR is the Center for Disability Access and Resources that complies with legal requirements laid out in Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 and the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990. In part, this law requires institutions that receive federal money, such as universities, to provide equitable access. CDAR does this by facilitating accommodations in order to provide equitable access to education and experiences at University of Idaho for students with disabilities. Students who are registered with CDAR have a documented disability. This includes a wide range of disabilities. In this category are more obvious physical disabilities, but also invisible disabilities such as mental health, learning disabilities, and autoimmune disorders. CDAR also provides accommodations for temporary disabilities, such as a broken arm. Accommodations are anything that provides equitable access to the classroom or overall experience of being a student at University of Idaho. The goal of accommodations is not to provide the students receiving them with anything extra, but to even the playing field, so they have the same access to learning in classes as you do. Some examples of accommodations include extended time on testing, digital textbooks that can be used with a screen reader, American Sign Language interpreting, real-time captioning, the Vandal Access Van, and more. In addition to note-taking, CDAR also provides captioning, interpreting, extended time on testing, private rooms for testing, alternative text, and assistive technology. It is widely encouraged that you use first-person language when you talk about people with disabilities. Person-first language is when you say someone has a disability instead of describing them as disabled. For example, the sentence, CDAR provides accommodations for students with disabilities, versus the sentence, CDAR provides accommodations for disabled students. However, some communities prefer disability-first language, such as the deaf community and some people in the autistic community. In these cases, you could describe somebody as deaf. For example, the sentence, the deaf student receives captioning. However, it is best to ask someone how they want to be referred to instead of assuming. Interact with people with disabilities the same way you would interact with other students. Be mindful of good practices and do not talk down to the students with disabilities or baby them. Some good practices to keep in mind. Face people directly when you talk to them. Ask people if taking the stairs is okay when you're walking with them, and be mindful that it may take longer for people to do everyday tasks than it takes you. Do not ask somebody what their disability is. This is really important. If you need to know the details of someone's disability to provide better notes, the note-taking coordinator will let you know in a confidential manner. Some students registered with CDAR get note-taking as an accommodation. You, as a note-taker, attend classes that students need note-taking in, and you take detailed notes for these CDAR students. Students who receive note-taking as an accommodation have a range of types of disabilities. There are many reasons why a student would be provided with note-taking. This could be a physical disability, such as the inability to use their hand for writing or typing. It could be a learning disability or auditory processing disability that makes it difficult to quickly process lecture material in order to write it down. Because there are many reasons, it is best to take the most thorough and accurate notes possible to start with, and then adjust with feedback from the student. Next, I'll talk about the basics of note-taking. The first is going to class and taking notes. These classes could be your own classes that you're registered for, or classes from all across disciplines at the University of Idaho. It is not guaranteed that you'll be able to take notes in your own classes. Sometimes there are opportunities to work as a reader or scribe in the CEDAR Testing Center, help during finals week, or cover the CEDAR office front desk. Here are a few questions to quiz yourself on. Try thinking of the answers, and then I'll go to the next slide. And here are the answers to those questions. You can take a few seconds to look these over.